Just to add a couple of comments to what Peter has said. Out on the doorsteps, I mean, this is a major issue. In fact, it's the issue that comes up more than any other single issue now, which again is a sign, I think, of political progress in terms of the sorts of issues that people are talking about. I mean, I think in terms of moving things forward politically, I think people see the progress that's happened and they want to see that progress maintained. But they are concerned now about how we're going to maintain economic progress and prosperity if we're going to be faced with these kinds of massive cuts targeted at Northern Ireland. And there's no doubt that David Cameron's comments on Friday has caused deep unease. There's a lot of squirming going on in the Ulster Unionist ranks, trying to pretend, oh, this is over 25 years. It's not about slashing public expenditure. Everybody knows what David Cameron meant. And what I'm finding, the biggest single reaction on the doorsteps is, do these people, just as Peter alluded to there, do people not realise that we had 30 years where their private investment in the private sector, nothing happened on it. Businessmen were actually being murdered. The public sector was all that kept Northern Ireland going, and suddenly now to treat Northern Ireland in exactly the same way as everywhere else, which hasn't had the legacy of the most vicious terrorist campaign anywhere in Western Europe, is simply a case of showing how out of touch the Conservatives are and how amazingly out of touch the Ulster Unionists have become in allying themselves to such a policy and being forced to defend what even a year ago they would have lambasted. And I think that people are therefore, it reinforces our very strong message, which has been from the outset of this campaign, that if you want a strong, united voice in Parliament speaking up for Northern Ireland and its people and its interests, first and foremost, not accountable to either of the two big parties, not under the whip, then the only way of protecting services and the people's interest in Northern Ireland is to have a vote for the DUP. It's quite clear, I mean, the ludicrous attempts by some of their candidates to pretend that they will be inside the camp and they'll be able to persuade David Cameron to do what they want. I mean, those of us who have been at Westminster, those of us who have experience of how Westminster works, know that even senior Tory backbenchers are told what to do by the leadership, and the idea that somehow Red Jempe or anyone else will have any influence is simply ludicrous, as was demonstrated by David Cameron's comments on Friday past. And I think the other thing that is coming through in the doorsteps is the fact that the Democratic Unionist Party is in this election a strong, united party, whereas people see in the Ulster Unionist Party division amongst themselves, having lost their only MP, lost a senior MLA, at odds with the Tories over police and justice policy. And of course, some of their candidates going round, those who say that we need to invest more, those, let's say, who were previously of a more left-wing disposition, let's say it, who are now extremely embarrassed at having to tell people in the doorsteps that far from getting more investment in their constituencies, they're going to be party to putting their hands up for more cuts in their constituencies. So I think as the election has unfolded and as we go forward on the doorsteps, I believe we're getting a very positive response to our message, which is a strong voice for Northern Ireland's interests at Westminster. The only way of guaranteeing and delivering that is through the Democratic Unionist Party, not a vote for those who have already sold their votes to the big parties and have given up their influence to do good for Northern Ireland.